So can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Okay. We'll make a start then. If anyone obviously comes in a bit late, that's fine. They'll obviously can just listen. Me and Jodie's gonna kind of take it in turns, say different bits. Is that okay? Yeah. And then there'll be a certain part of it where we'll hand it over to Jane from CITB. You can talk a little bit more about that. Is that all right, Jane?
Absolutely. Yeah. You just give me the heads up when, and I'll present. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, that's fine. So basically this is our first one, to be fair. Hopefully it'll be the first one of many. So we just wanted to talk about like the NVQ funding support that's available for the construction industry, because not a lot of companies know about it. Not a lot of companies utilise it as much as perhaps they could do. And Jane can talk about a bit of funding for other parts, you know, for other training that you might pay for, that potentially could be funded as well. So it's just all part of trying to help our companies as much as possible. So just a little bit about us. So we're obviously DMR training. We are based in Leigh. However, we work nationally. We work with lots of different companies up and down the country, all construction companies, and support for NVQs all over different trades. So it could be painting, decorating, to roofing, bricklaying, supervision, management, and we believe that everyone should have the best opportunities to progress in life. And we really do offer flexibility, because we know obviously construction workers, they need flexibility. They're on site all day. They don't want to kind of go in a classroom and do a load of written work. We do know that. So we just try and make it as easy, as flexible as possible.
And we also try and give them the opportunity to move on from a level 2 to a level 3, right up to level 7 if they've got that progression route within their own company.
So who can get signed up? So our target audience is construction workers over the age of 19. So we don't tend to work with anyone below the age of 19, only because we do work with people who's got that bit of experience already, only because for an NVQ you need to already have that underpinning knowledge and kind of the hands-on experience to get through it. Do you want to say a little bit about it?
Yeah, so it might be somebody who's worked on site maybe as a labourer for a number of years, and then maybe started plastering, they've progressed on, or a bricklayer who's might have gone on site working for his dad or his uncle, never had that formal training at college, but have had that hands-on experience on site. So that's why we're looking at 19 plus. Anybody really under that we'd point to the apprenticeship route. We don't offer that, but we would say obviously look at your nearest training provider or college, and we would try and help you and support you down that route rather than the construction route. We have got some companies now that are doing sort of like their own apprenticeship, where they're taking it in-house a little bit more. They're doing the on-site training for 2 to 3 years, and then they're just coming to us to do an NVQ only, rather than them having the day release, going to college, and you know that person spending time away from work. We have got quite a few companies that are now doing that and have got their own process really, and so that's something that I know some companies are thinking of.
Yeah, and they can obviously be employed, they can be self-employed, so someone who subcontracts to the company, that's completely fine, but they need to be working that job in order to do an NVQ. If obviously the NVQ is funded, which we try and do for everybody, the sign up would take place at the workplace. We might be the employer's office, or we might go to site to the individual and do the enrolment. We try and make it as quick and as flexible and easy as possible, don't we?
Yeah, so we try and make that person on site have the least downtime for the company and that person, because we all know that time's money for people on site. They might be on price work, so we can fit it in round either at first thing in the morning. I know Zoe yesterday went to a company at 7 in the morning, did a few sign-ups before they started work, or we can do it on breaks, dinners, So we are really flexible where we can do them sign-ups and transport the company and the learners with that.
Yeah, it normally doesn't take more than half an hour. It does obviously depend on the individual, but we try and make it we do try and make it as quick as possible, but at the same time as thorough as possible as well.
Yeah.
So the process. So like I've just said, we obviously know they don't want loads of paperwork. We try our best to keep it as minimal as possible, but obviously we have to adhere to certain requirements as well. So we try and find like that medium. We do have a little video. It kind of goes through the sign up process, and it might make it easier to visualize it than us obviously talking about it. So I'll just put it on now.
So should there be sound on that now?
Yes.
sorry, Jane.
Sorry, can no one hear that?
Can't hear it.
No. Oh no. Let's have a look.
I could hear it.
Oh, you can hear it.
Yeah, I
hear
can.
it.
All right, Jane. I'm not sure then.
If everyone else can hear it, all good.
I can't hear it. It's Marie
Oh.
here. I can't hear it.
I'm not sure why.
I've just got magical powers.
Unless is it because some people are on mute maybe and others aren't? I can't.
I was on
I've
mute
taken mine
before.
off mute.
Right. Let me try again and then just let me know if you can't hear it. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Still can't hear it.
I can't. Is anyone else having problems or?
Let's have a look. I don't know why some people aren't and some people are. To be fair, I don't know, but what we're doing is we are recording it, so if you ever want to listen, obviously afterwards, we can send it to you. Is that okay with everyone?
That's fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm sorry if you couldn't hear that. I'm not sure why some people couldn't, some people couldn't. But like I say, obviously I will send it out once we've finished, so you can obviously listen to it then. Is that all right?
Yeah, no problem. Just on that part there, if you didn't hear it, so we do offer like a flexible approach when it comes to the learners on site. So it might be that somebody might struggle with their English or the spelling or anything like that. What we can do is we can voice record their job knowledge questions, and we find it really, really works and helps people on site. Some people are more than happy to take the job knowledge questions, go home in the evening, either type them up, handwrite them. We have people sending it in on WhatsApp. They took a picture of it and then we print it out for them. You know, so we really do support them. But if anybody does struggle with anything, then that's where the assessor can come in and support them. So what they'd do is they'd make a time to record the job knowledge questions. So it might be that they book in for 20 minutes a day for a couple of days and get that boxed off, or that they book maybe a 2-hour session in on Friday afternoon when they finish work, and just go through them job knowledge questions. Them job knowledge questions, whether they're handwritten or voice recorded, get uploaded onto the portfolio. All the portfolios are electronic. That said, we will support anybody who might not be as tech savvy as other people on site. We had someone sign up and they absolutely hated computers, and the assessor sorted everything out for them. So if anybody does have any worries, anybody who is signing up to the NVQ, they really don't need to, because we will support them and we treat everybody as a individual, rather than just throwing questions at people and saying get on with them. We will definitely support them.
So this is just a little bit about kind of the green skills pathways. So we do obviously do the traditional construction NVQs. However, we do offer the retrofit and green skills NVQs as well. We do work with employers who do have kind of an eco branch, and they've kind of transferred their employees to have more green skills. So this is just an example. So someone who was a plasterer, the company and us have identified they've got transferable skills. The company has obviously allowed them to have the experience in fitting more greener materials for a certain amount of time, and then they'll be ready for the NVQ. So it might be that they don't need years and years of experience of the green skills because they've already got the transferable skills. So it might just be a few months of using kind of these certain materials, getting used to it, and then doing the NVQ, and then we can kind of support them with kind of the knowledge aspect whilst they've kind of already got the hands-on experience, and then the kind of a qualified insulation installer, rather than just kind of a plasterer. So they've got different aspects of the skills.
We also as well look at all ranges. So if you was like maybe a joiner going into internal wall insulation, there is a lot of transferable skills throughout all the trades. So we would just look at that on an individual basis as well. So if you've got a joiner who's been working on site for 20 years, we know they can put a stud wall up. You know, the assessor will speak to them anyway, and we will do a skills scan with them. But it's just making sure that they know that them skills are transferable, and they might have a level 2 in, say, dry lining or joinery, but then they can progress on to a level 3 either in internal wall insulation if they're a plasterer or a dry liner, or if there was a joiner, maybe onto level 3 internal wall insulation. So there's that progression as well with the cards and going from a green to a gold, which is always great for that person.
So just touching on that, like Jodie's just said, so obviously getting the NVQs can help with applying for your CSCS cards. So if anyone was on a green labourer's card right now, for example, however, they've been doing, I don't know, they've been a roofer for 20 years and they don't have their NVQ, that's where we can come in and help, because obviously they are a roofer, but obviously the card is saying they're a labourer. And I know some sites are getting a lot more stricter at the moment with allowing skilled workers in and not letting them in. So obviously a blue or above now on site for a skilled worker is what really needs to kind of continue to grow, really, instead of just the labourers cards. We're seeing get a lot of people ringing us saying, oh, they won't let me on site now with just my labourers card, please could you help me because I really need to stay in work. So that's kind of where we really want to help as well.
Yeah, we can also do a bit of a bridging thing as well. So if they're on a green card and can't get on site as, say, a joiner or a dry liner, they can actually get a red card, which is your temporary 6-month card. We do give everybody 6 months to complete their NVQ, even though it can be done a lot sooner. We're just giving that time in case, I don't know, something happens, you know what life's like, things crop up that you don't expect, or it might be somebody going on holiday. They're absolutely so busy at work that they might not have time, or they're working away for a couple of months. We just make sure we give them that time and support throughout, that they know that they've got that time to be able to obviously still do their NVQ but still live and work at the same time. And
for anyone who doesn't know who is on the call, so your green is obviously your labourers, your blue is your skilled worker, which is the next one up. Your gold is the third one up, where it's technically classed as like a master of your trade, or any like supervisors might have a gold, and then above that is your black card. So that's anyone who's in management, level 6, level 7 NVQs. So we'll touch a little bit on grandfather rights. I'm sure some of you have obviously heard that they were taken out on December 31st last year. So obviously from January, it was anyone who had held like a blue, gold or black CSCS card through grandfather rights. So what that means is they had industry accreditation. So years and years back, they were given industry accreditation for example, if they had been doing the job for 20 years, obviously the CSCS thought they've been doing it for that long, kind of they don't need their NVQ, we'll just give them a gold card, for example, because we know they've been doing it for that long, but obviously that's been removed now. So anyone who was on that would need to get an NVQ to go back to whatever colour card they did have before, because they will drop to a labourer's card now. So we obviously have been really busy since then, as you can imagine, but there is probably a few people and companies who aren't really aware of it, so we do want to let people know. And it's just as easy as because we know that some people don't update the card straight away. So it's just a matter of looking on the back of the card, and if it says industry accredited on there, that means that the card was obviously from December was no longer in use. And if they did go for a new CSCS card, they would only be given a green labourer's card. Now with the green labourer's card, they would have to do the 1-day course, but anything from a blue card upwards, it's just the touchscreen test for the relevant NVQ that they're doing. Oh yeah, go on, Marie.
Hi, sorry to interrupt. I don't know whether you've seen latest information came out towards the end of last year from CCS. For the green cards now, you've got to prove that you're a labourer.
Yeah, we have heard this as well.
So people that have got a skill and have lost their grandfather rights, they're really clamping down. It's all to do with the Building Safety Act. They're really clamping down. So I don't think it's going to be as easy as before to get a green card. So I just wanted to point that out. And the experienced worker card that they can get as soon as they sign up for their NVQ, yes, it's 12 months, not 6. Yeah.
Marie,
no, that's I was on a
Yeah.
working group with CCS towards the end of last year, last 6 months of last year, and that's how I know this information. It's not
perfect. That's
okay.
Great.
That's great. Obviously, we didn't know that either, so that's even better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting, but I just
No,
thought
no, that's
everyone
great.
know.
If anyone has any questions throughout, obviously just just ask, it's fine. So I think we might have touched on this a little bit. I think Jodie touched on it a little bit in terms of what DMR do provide. That's a little bit different in terms of completing the NVQ. We know everyone's busy, especially on site, so we do try and be flexible. It's all done on site, which does obviously save the company time and money as well, because the learner can carry on working. So that's why it's all on site assessment. Again, I do think Jodie did. I think Jodie did touch on this a little bit. If anyone did have any learning difficulties or disabilities, or just really weren't great with paperwork or writing or typing and have computer issues or whatever, that's completely fine. We can provide verbal assessment, which is recorded question and answers. It's really informal. It's nothing to be ashamed about. A lot of our learners do just prefer it anyway. And some of them just find it easier. So
a lot of our assessors like it as well, because obviously it just shows a more authentic side to the process, because it's that person saying what they do and how they do it, rather than just writing it and putting it in. So it does look really good when we're obviously being looked at, doesn't it?
Yeah, obviously we follow certain requirements, and we're told obviously what's best in kind of the quality side of it. And the verbal assessment really is authentic, like Jodie says. So it not only helps them, but it does also help us in certain aspects as well. So just to start looking into the funding that we have. So to start with, we do have funding for anyone who lives in Greater London. So it doesn't have to be the company. It is the operative who has to live in Greater London. And at the moment, that's for level 3 installation and building treatment. So that's all of your green skills, like I mentioned before. It's not on there, but we do also have supervision in London as well. We did have level 2 roofing as well. However, there's no places left at the moment. They might come back, obviously, but we've got no spaces for them at the minute. So it's just the level 3s, all the insulation and building treatments and the supervision. So this is our main funding stream. So we have funding in Greater Manchester across all construction trades at level 2 and level 3. So again, it has to be the operative that lives in Greater Manchester in order to access the funding. We would double check what prior qualifications the operative does have, just in case because sometimes it might interfere with the funding, that's all, but we do check that for them. All we would need at the beginning is the full name, date of birth and postcode, just to check that. And we do it really quick. So yeah, it's across all construction trades, level 2 to level 3. That includes your green skills as well as your traditional ones as well. And your level 3s covers joinery, painting and decorating, bricklaying, your supervision for any supervisors or team leaders as well. So and once everything is funded in a stream like this, for example, you can also claim back from CITB, which Jane will obviously go into once they've completed with the certificate. So it ends up being where the company can get a bit of money back as well if they're a CITB levy payer. So it's great all around, really. So our funding opportunities can be really helpful for many companies who have been able to take the careers further and develop the skills at no cost. Obviously, funding is great. You don't have to pay for it, which is obviously which is what everybody wants. We try and make it as easy to access as possible, and we really do try to help companies every step of the way. There's companies who we might go in for them and do a bit of a skills audit. Try and find what funding each person can have, whether it be through us, CITB. We try and really do like a scan of everybody.
So me and Zoe normally go into the companies, and what we'd do is we'd look at where the people live. So if you had, say, 5 people who lived in Greater Manchester and they wanted to do, 3 of them wanted to do a level 2 and 2 of them wanted to do a level 3. But then you had some other people, some other operatives who lived outside the area, but the company did pay a CITB levy. That's where we would say, well, this amount of people can go down the fully funded route and you can claim this back. And what me and Zoe normally do is just send an email with all that costing on there, how much the actual costing would be if you was paying for it yourself, how much you can claim back from CITB if they're fully funded, and how much you can obviously get towards the employer network, whether it's either 70-30 or at the minute it's 100% for certain qualifications. So it does work out really well. I did a company the other day, probably about 20 to 30 operatives on there. And in the end, there was still, even though there was quite a few people out of the area, it still actually didn't cost the company anything with the money that we're going to get back from the people who was in Greater Manchester. So it did work out really well. So we can actually put that together for each company as well.
So we do have a video that explains our funding opportunities. However, I know the last video didn't go very well because we couldn't hear. So I will give it another go. Just let me know if you can't hear it. I don't know why it's doing this.
I think I know. I think I know what's happened. I don't know whether anybody else has had this issue. I'm having to manually move the slides on. They're not doing it. So
right.
what slide number is this video that you're about to
So it's on
show?
14.
14, right, okay, let me navigate
Yeah,
my way
I'm
to
exactly
14.
the same. I'm having to move them on. How funny. And I was just sat here thinking, is it because did we come in via Teams and some people via Eventbrite? Is that,
or maybe
could that be why? And we're on 14, right? I thought we were
sorry,
somewhere.
I didn't know why it's not
No,
moving for everybody.
nothing's working for us too.
Oh God, honestly, these computers.
Funny enough, I had this issue in-house yesterday. So it was an
Oh,
in-house
no.
call. And
Yeah.
this is the only reason I know what to do today. It happened yesterday, so whether it's
you're saving us, Marie.
Know, thank you, Marie.
Right, okay. Well, if everyone's on slide 14, then I'll play the video and hopefully it'll work for everybody this time. Perfect. Just a mention from Paula there.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Paula.
Don't worry, they went for the proper like local Wigan route there, didn't they?
I know. So, I want to try and make it where it's moving for everybody. I'm not sure why it's not doing it. I'll have to keep going. So what do DMR provide? Again, we provide support and advice for all companies. And we work alongside CITB with obviously the likes of Jane and other CISB advisors to try and get funding for people. So if you're a CITB registered company, you can benefit from levy grants from successfully completing training or NVQs, and this can range from £600 up to £1,500 depending on the qualification. So level 2s you can claim £600, level 3 is £600, but the supervised one, especially now, is £1,250 that you can claim back, and then right up to like your management, so you can claim £1,500 back for that. And CITB do have a new scheme called Employee Network, which is amazing, where they are funding 70% of all training needs, and also 100% now for certain qualifications. So now, Jane, I'll hand it over to you if you want to share your slides, and you can run into it.
Well, I haven't gone anywhere, but yeah, I'll just attempt to share firstly, which I'm hoping is going to work in light of some of those issues we've just been experiencing.
I know,
but
I
let's
hope
see.
so.
Can you all see that? Let's
Yeah.
hope. Yeah? Okay, so I'm Jane Crompton Payne. The reason for the double barrel name is Jane married a Payne. Doesn't sound good. So yeah, kept my maiden name in there. But I've been with CITB now. This is my 12th year. I've worked closely with DMR. The staff there are just fabulous. They break down barriers with people in the industry, and they've just got such good working relationships out there, telling industry, like people here today on the Teams call, about ourselves and funding. So it's a really good partnership, and it's with great pleasure that I'm here today just to talk you through the products. So our purpose, and I'm sure you'll all be aware, we're here to support the construction industry. We listen to yourselves to ensure that if there isn't a course in place or a standard, that's worked upon, ensuring we've got the skilled, competence and inclusive workforce now and in the future. So that just led on nicely to, can you see my second slide, the 3 pillars of our business plan?
Yeah.
So we update this annually, and with regards to our strategic and business plan, we've brought on new products which have been about listening to industry. So when we talk about informing and enabling diverse and skilled people into construction, this is around what does industry need, listening to yourselves as the employers. We do a consensus every 4 years, and that's completely fed back. So things where money perhaps could be better spent, and that will lead me on to employer networks and how that came about. It's all about listening to industry. We can't retain any funds that are generated through the levy, so we do pay that back in grants and funding to the customers registered with CITB. So part of our business plan is develop a training and skills system to meet current and future needs, and this is currently being worked on. We are looking at something called training provider networks, which will ensure that a network of providers who are approved with us, that they come together on a network scheme. And what will happen from that is that the mandatory training will be accessed through the training provider network. And that's something we're developing at the moment to come this year. We support industry to train and develop its workforce as well. So working with lots of different providers like DMR and ensuring that, you know, we're partnering to make the most of funding. And in a lot of cases where DMR have had funding in Greater Manchester and nationally, and it's worked really well hand in hand with what we can provide in funding as well. So for the purpose of those who may or may not be registered, for those who aren't registered, just letting you know a little bit here that the total wage bill, so if your total annual payroll is 120k or less, you wouldn't pay any levy to us, but obviously you can access all of the grant. At the moment, for those employers with a total wage bill between 120k and 399k, just over, you can receive 50% reduction on the levy. For those over and above, we do charge levy, and that's calculated based on over and above those amounts. And if anybody isn't registered with us and is a small or larger organisation, you can just get in touch with me and I can give more information about that if you decide to register. It's not something that is mandatory at the moment. We do auto register companies, but that's not my role. So I know Zoe and Jodie have both mentioned the employer networks, and this project started last year. There was a pilot project that went really well, and we've maintained that and put further funds to it. So if you want to access any construction training nationally, we will source the training providers that are approved with ourselves. For most training courses, including first aid, which wasn't something we funded in the past, we will fund at 70%. And the way the Employer Network project works is that we fund the training provider, usually of your choice, although they do need to be approved with CITB. And just recently, until the 31st of March, we are 100% funding in leadership and management, digital skills, which is Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So again, if these are of interest to yourselves, after this call, I'm more than happy for you to drop me an email. My details will be at the end of this short presentation. And we're also 100% funding net zero and retrofit. So I know Zoe and Jodie have both been letting customers know about this in relation to the retrofit NVQs. In line with leadership and management, we are also fully funding NVQ 3 to NVQ 7 until 31st of March. So if DMR were your training provider choice, we would just book that through the Employer Network. DMR would literally invoice you for the 30%. There'd be nothing else to do there. We would pay DMR for 70% of your NVQs at that level. So with regards to employer networks, I used to find, I mean, I've been with CITB a long time, that customers would be disengaged with me, but not with training providers. They just didn't want the hassle of claiming back grants. So this way, there's nothing to claim back. We will fund at least at 70%. And when we build initiatives such as this one, we will fund some areas at 100%. And as it says there, employers have this say about how funding is used. So we do have steering groups in each area, regional area, and employers on the steering group panel can have the say. So if there's a bulk of funding needed for groundworks, for example, that's something we would consider. Is that okay with everyone so far? I'm not going too fast, am I? You feedback, Zoe.
No.
Let me know.
No, you're doing great, James.
Okay. Well, just let me know if I need to stop or any questions, please stop me. Now, Zoe and Jodie, you've covered this really, really well around the grandfather rights. But this just outlines in the different areas. We would fully fund these at the moment in all those that are listed. going forward after 31st of March, as Zoe explained, if we're not fully funding, you have two options. You can either book an NVQ in these NVQ 3, 6, up to 7, and we will either fund at 70%, or you can pay DMR for the training and you can claim back those amounts. So that's the way that works. And we doubled those grants for the management just because there wasn't as much take up in those higher levels, but it's certainly massively increased that now. Industry is recognising with regards to grandfather rights, they're upskilling their workforce. So as you mentioned just before, Zoe, you were talking about the £600. So if anybody's doing an EBOSH or any short period qualification, you'll be able to claim something back. So if you're registered with us, you've got your certificate, you need to know how to claim, you can contact me. But these are just giving you the amounts. Just to touch on as well that we can fund the long period qualifications. So anyone that's doing a degree, a HNC or above, we can fund £1,125 per year. That's for their attendance to a college or university. And then on achievement for the higher levels, we will pay out the £1,875 achievement grant. The short course grants are still available. Now, what that means, for example, in the main, I will be sort of advising customers about how to actually book the courses through Employer Network, but there might be a caveat to that. So say, for example, somebody comes to me, they want to book working at height, it costs £145 per person, you can claim £140 back. So in that case, to help maximise the grants, and there's not many like that, there's a couple, you may want to do claim backs, hence why that's still there. There's a short course grant claim. We also fund apprenticeship grants. Again, if you're thinking of taking on apprentices, I'm more than happy to advise you how to claim. And the grants are paid at £2,500 per year, usually over 2 years, and £3,500 on achievement. So that's £8,500 per apprentice. We also have a new entrant support team. So if you do have apprentices, they can assist you setting up the apprenticeship service account. We also do mentoring support and mentoring training. So Claire's details are there, but I can share those with anybody after today if you do need any support. The only other thing to mention is the work experience grants. So if you are looking to take somebody from maybe from a training provider, your local college, and they're currently attending a full-time course, we will pay a work experience grant, which is £500. They might do 1 week with you, but we will pay that £500. And there's also the employment grant. So if they stay in employment with you after work experience for 3 months, we'll pay £1,000. If they then go into the apprenticeship, that's when the £2,500 would start to be paid. Every quarter, we pay the £2,500. Now that really does give you all our grants in a nutshell. There's the contacts, and we all have our individual areas. I deal with Greater Manchester with my colleague James Johnson, but I'll just leave that slide up there in case anybody just wants to ping me an email, ask for more information. It's kind of an overview of what we do. And I think it's best to contact me in real time when you're looking at training. I'm happy to give advice, receive a little training plan from yourself so I can advise you further. So I hope that's okay. Does that sound all right, ladies, so far?
Yeah, no,
Jane,
that's great.
And do you know something, Jane? Even though I've worked obviously quite closely with yourself for years, I genuinely didn't know about the work experience grants.
Did you
And I think
not?
that's no,
Bless
and I
you.
think that's absolutely amazing, you know,
Yeah.
because it just gives that young person or that person, you know, who might not have had that best start, you know, if somebody can claim that bit of money for them, it
Yeah.
might make a massive difference. And I mean, even though me and Zoe, when we go out to companies, do talk mainly about NVQs, but we also do obviously tell companies about the apprenticeships and the apprenticeship grants, even though we don't do them. We just want to obviously make sure each company has the best advice that we can give them. So I think that's really good that we know that as well now. So thank you.
Yeah.
I know.
No
Well,
problem.
Yeah, that's
Always
great.
something we can learn. Things I
is.
didn't know about you. Your presentation.
No, that's great.
Is there any
Right.
questions?
Yeah, any questions from anyone? Is there anything that kind of you want us to go into, or from our kind of side of a training provider, is there anything that you would like to see in the future? We're always obviously open to new qualifications or doing things a little bit differently. Like we kind of are open to feedback, you know. So anything like that we want to hear about.
Just to let you know as well, we can tailor make really the qualifications as well. So say if you've got somebody who's a passive fire person and they only do passive fire, say doors or one other element, there is a list. So there's obviously mandatory units on every NVQ. So like your health and safety and things like that, it's 3 core units. But then there is individual options as well. So it might be that you have somebody on one pathway, but then somebody on another. So that's something that we can look at as well with each company. Means that we have that information. So if you ever needed to look at any of the NVQs that we offer, we can obviously give you that information of what pathways.
Yeah, like the unit breakdown.
Yeah,
we can obviously add other units to try and tailor it to how it's best for the company and the individual. So yeah, but yeah, if you have any questions, obviously ask. If you have any after today, you obviously have our emails. Just email us or give us a ring if you have our number. So yeah, is that okay?
But we just wanted to say thank you so much, you know, for taking your time. It is our first one, so hopefully we've done all right.
Yeah.
But honestly, anything that you need to know, either from DMR or CITB, I know Jane is always happy to help, and so are we.
Yeah, we're always happy to come in for a brew and go through it with everyone in the company. So yeah.
Oh, happy
all
to
good.
receive any emails, questions. You know, I'm happy for that as well. And thank you for inviting me, ladies. Really useful. Good to meet new people on here as well. So
yeah. Oh,
thank
great.
you.
Well, we probably will obviously have another one coming up.
Yeah.
It obviously won't be anytime soon. It might be in a month or two.
And
but
if it's something that you want to hear about as well, we want you that feedback as well. So if there is something that you're unsure of, or you think, oh, I might like to know a little bit more about that, let us know and we can put that on the agenda for next time as well.
Yeah, we can do. We'll try and tailor it to that point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you everybody. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Try and spread the word. Obviously, we want as many people to come on here as possible, just to try and spread the word about the funding, what kind of training can do to your organisation, and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.